Proffessors is brought to you by trollandtoad.com, mtgmintcard.com, cardholder.com, and Jiffy's Photo and Baseball Cards. Shards of Alara is here and known, and it looks extremely tasty, so have your mouse on the order button at trollandtoad.com, mtgmintcard.com, and cardholder.com, or support the show and head on down to Jiffy's Photo and Baseball Cards today. So we're headed to Worlds in 3 hours. Yeah.
We would play test, 4 or 5 days a week, all the time, just every chance we got.
I practice a lot. I just went to John Fickle's house to do a lot of drafts.
I just read this book called The 4-Hour Work Week, and the idea in the book is to maximize your time in everything, sleeping, eating, working, everything. So I wanted to have the most efficient testing possible. So my idea was to wait until like the week before and just test then, so I had more information to work with. So I just did the week before. I probably did 30 or 40 hours. Maybe 40 hours, say 50 hours. I did drafts too, so 50 hours. 3 formats, it's a lot of magic.
Probably most of the days after work, last couple weeks playtesting, and mostly on Magic Online.
I actually playtested less for this event than any other event, I think, in recent history, like the last year. It's only a few weeks after Berlin. I actually went to a GP in New Zealand, which kind of cut the time down. So standard we did a good amount. Extended I played less than 10 games with the deck I'm playing.
3 days a week playtesting with Pat Chapin and Emmanuel Bucher because they were in town.
My playtesting was amongst every one of the GPs because I played all the GPs between Paris and New Zealand. So 5 GPs. I stayed at Shuhei's house for 2 weeks. I did a little bit of testing with Waffa Tapper. Talked a lot with some of my team members, with other players, just got a general feeling for what I thought was good, where things were going, and I think I chose pretty good decks.
I actually did almost no testing. I wanted to, but we traveled to New Zealand for the Grand Prix, and the week before I was out with a bunch of friends, for Thanksgiving, so just really didn't have much time to test. So what we ended up doing was, just kind of on the way here, just talking, theorizing, and we had some friends who also did testing with us, and we decided to, just play a deck and run with it. So we all played black-white tokens, and, it could have been better probably. We didn't really fine-tune it or anything, but Luis ended up doing really well with it. I went 3-3. And for extended, at this point I was 6-6. I was like, okay, I don't care. I'm just gonna play a fun deck. Somebody just hand me a deck with a lot of islands and counterspells. I just want to play a counterspells. So Gabriel Nasir came up to me and he's like, you should play this deck. This deck's awesome. And I was like, okay, what is it? He goes, oh, it's this mono blue fairies deck. I'm like, mono blue fairies, no bitter blossom? He's like, yeah, it's sweet. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. It looks pretty nice. So I just, didn't test, didn't pick up the cards. You know, just sleeved up the deck and ended up going, you know, undefeated on the day. So it was pretty nice.
I am podcasting through an enormous microphone plugged into the top of my iPhone, live from a back table. So I am joined by two of our Planeswalking professors here, so I will pass the microphone to them. They can say hello.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, start working on ninjas, because anxious to see what it looks like as well.
And it was just a lot of fun to play with. I thought it was a pretty well designed set. It was fun to draft, and it took me a little bit to understand the ship's structure stuff. So, but it was fun.
I talked with Gavin about this. You know, everybody talked about chalices might be used, but still, elves can still win like first one or two turns. So you may either won't have enough mana to cast your solution to their deck, or they still win before you can.
Elves has not performed well in any events, whether they're on Magic Online or the Winter King in Kentucky, but that seems like it could be very misleading. Elves is almost impossible to play online. It takes so long, and at something like the Winter King, where you have a lot of players who maybe don't have the experience of some of the Pro Tour players, Elves is a very complicated deck to play, and to play well. So the players who did play it there just may not have been, I don't mean it to sound insulting, but just it may not have been up to the task of playing it in a highly competitive environment where everyone else has made some adjustments for this deck.
I don't think a lot of people are playing Elves. I don't think it's that good, and I don't think it really affects too much.
It's weird. It seems like people were going to be ready for Elves, and it's a pretty easy deck to prepare for.
I think clearly it was a little bit more rogue in Berlin. Now people knew about it, so people are making deck choices that obviously a little bit better against it, but clearly it's a powerful deck. It'll still be in the metagame.
I thought actually the metagame was going to shift enough that people were going to actually be prepared for it, and I think they have. There might be one elf deck doing well, but I think for the most part, Elves is not doing all that well.
Terrible. I know firsthand because sadly we have Sam Black on our team who played Elves, and I think he might have went 1-4-1. I think with Elves, it was a disaster.
I'm main decking Knights of Soul's Betrayal. You know, and they're just completely dead to that card. If I was running white, I was going to be main decking Rule of Law, and if I was running any other version of Tron, then I was going to be playing Chalice of the Void, so all those cards are pretty problematic for them.
Elves, I think, was a terrible choice for this tournament because everybody was prepared. It was a relatively unknown deck for that tournament, made it so powerful. Nobody really knew about the deck, or you know, even if they did, they kind of dismissed the deck. They didn't really say it was any good. They didn't really think it was any good. And now that people know how to beat it, there's so many ways. There's so many strategies to like invalidate Elves. You know, there are cards like Knight of Soul's Betrayal. There's Chalice of the Void. All those cards are just so good at hosing Elves. And even Zoo, it's like, I don't even think Elves has a good matchup anymore against anything, except like maybe Affinity. So it affected the field in the sense that everybody had to have something in their deck to beat Elves. But at the same time, since everybody had something to beat Elves, I think Elves was a pretty bad choice.
You want to get better than your friends so you can beat them more regularly. So you start going to Friday Night Magics. And then I think people, since there's PTQs all over the place, people start going to PTQs, and I think the Pro Tour qualifiers, I think that's really what gets people excited.
Social networking, skill, go out and, meet people, talk to them, try to get their advice, and learn from them and get assimilated into a community of good players. I think you can do it in Magic Online. You see a lot of players come out of if you go on to Magic Online, you do really well, you're going to get invited into a good clan. I think the idea is to be humble, always be willing to learn, and always, be willing to believe people are better than you.
Just do play the best you can. Don't worry about luck or complaining or making excuses or anything like that.
You need to find someone who's better than you and play with them. I mean, that's what I did. That's what most people I know did. Hopefully it's someone you know well enough that they can provide you with constructive criticism, as opposed to the other kind.
When you're play testing, you need to figure out in every matchup what cards you're actually winning with. Like, for instance, if you're playing a white-black deck, are you winning because you're gloriously Anthemagani, or are you winning because you have turn 3 Spectral Procession? And once you figure out what cards are actually the good ones in every matchup, you might actually find out that, like, well, this card Knight of Meadowgrain, I don't win any game where I cast him. He's never the reason why I win, and he never does anything, so you might as well just cut him. That's when your deck starts getting tuned, and that's when you get a championship-winning deck.
Won nationals.
You have to immerse yourself in, whatever you're doing, and just the key to success is just, hard work,